In the bustling world of business, you're either moving forward or falling behind. Welcome to For Action Takers Only, the podcast and Facebook group where dreams become reality. We're here to fuel your ambition, sharpen your skills, and inspire your entrepreneurial spirit. Dive into the sea of opportunities with our insightful discussions, expert advice, and powerful success stories. From investment strategies to business building tips, we've got it all. Are you ready to take your first step towards your dream life? Join us on this exciting journey, unleash your potential, and watch as your dreams transform into your reality. Remember, inaction is the enemy of progress. So get on the action train with For Action Takers Only. Because the time to act is now and the place to start is here. For those who dare to dream and have the courage to act, the world is their oyster. For Action Takers Only, where dreams meet action. Tune in, take action, and transform your life. Your future self will thank you.
And welcome to For Action Takers Only. Today I got on Shane Langford. Going to bring him on here in just a minute. He is a SubTo member, small business owner, and we're going to hear all about his story. First, I want to tell you about Peacemaker Coffee Company, a friend of mine in Toledo, Ohio. It's roasted and packed in Toledo, Ohio. It's veteran owned and family owned, veteran owned, and it's a low premium quality, low acidity coffee. If you like coffee, check it out. Peacemaker Coffee Company. So let's bring on Shane and get him in here. How's it going, Shane? How you doing this morning?
Good, Todd. Thanks for having me on.
Man, I appreciate you doing this very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to our conversation.
Right. So tell us about yourself. Where are you from? Right now, you're currently in Austin, right? And you're from Dallas and had a business there, a glass company business for 13 years. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, born and raised in Dallas, Texas. Actually, Irving, just outside of Dallas. Graduated high school from there, from Irving High, and went to Texas Tech University. Got a marketing degree. Ended up coming back to Dallas for a job. Did a couple of years in corporate sales, and then just really decided, corporate world wasn't what I wanted. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So owning my own business was always kind of something I wanted to do. So after 2 years in corporate sales, I decided to just turn in my resignation one Monday morning, and went out and was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this thing. I know how to do a couple different things. I'm gonna start a business, and lived. And I was lucky enough to have that business for 20 years. Got the opportunity to sell it a couple of years ago, and now I'm like traveling. I'm living in Boston at the moment, but my wife and I are doing the nomad life. We're bouncing around from Airbnbs and kind of seeing the country a little bit. So
having a good time.
Yeah, enjoying ourselves. That's for sure.
So 13 years, and then you ended up selling the business. Now, did you sell the business because you became a real estate investor?
So I actually had that business for 20 years.
Okay.
I started that business in 2002. And, I got into real estate, honestly, because my dad was, like I said, my dad was an entrepreneur. My dad owned his own business. And my dad had started buying rental properties probably when he was about in his 40s. And I think he really saw the potential in real estate. And so after I'd been in business for about 8 or 9 years, my dad came to me one day and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing for retirement?" And I said, "Oh, what do you mean? I make good money. I own this business. Like, just figured I'll sell this business someday for millions of dollars, and that'll be my retirement." And he's like, "You really should start diversifying a little bit. Think about your future. How about you buy a rental property?" And I said, okay, yeah, sure. I see you do it. It seems, it can't be that hard. Let me buy a house. And this is like around 2010, when, in Texas, in small towns, you could still buy a house for about $30,000-$40,000 cash.
Right.
And so my dad calls me about a week later after that conversation, says, "Hey, this agent that I work with called me. There's a house available. It's $28,000. Do you want to buy it? Because if you're not going to buy it, I'm going to buy it." And I said, "Yeah, let me go look at it." Went and looked at this house. And let's just give you an example of what a $28,000 house looks like. the first time we walked through it, my wife said she thought we were going to find a dead body in this house. Like, it was pretty rough.
Ooh.
But we ended up buying this house, just didn't know any better, paid cash for it. And actually we ended up paying $28,500 for that house. We put $30,000 into renovating it just to get it livable for a renter. Like, that's how in rough shape this house was. But I didn't know anything other than, you save some money, you buy a house, or maybe get a mortgage. And so we bought that first property. And once we got it renovated and got a renter in it, I thought, well, this is pretty cool. Like, I just get a check every month. Like, the hard work's done. Like, let's do this again. So within like 4 months, we had bought our second property, same thing, like a little 3-bedroom, 1-bath home, paid $30,000 for it. That one, we actually just had to put about $10K into it. And I still own that one to this day. I sold the first one, but I quickly, after doing those 2 properties, really saw the value of real estate. And so I think that was always in the back of my mind. Unfortunately, after that, I did those 2 properties, my business kind of got the best of me, started taking a lot of my focus. We talk a lot about tired owners. I started becoming one of those tired owners. The business was growing faster, and I wasn't putting a lot of work into, the resources I needed to grow the business beyond myself. So I shifted my focus away from real estate for several years and just focused on growing the business, working in the business. So from like 2011 to 2018, I didn't do anything in the real estate business. But then in 2018, I started getting involved in fix and flips as a private money partner and really enjoyed that concept. So when I finally got the opportunity to sell the business in 2022, I always knew that real estate was going to be my second career, my next business. I enjoyed it. I always enjoyed the process of it. I wanted to go execute that as I exited my day job, so to speak.
Okay. So tell me about watershed development.
Yes, the Watershed is me and my wife's real estate investment and development company. So currently I'm an active fix and flipper. I'm actually partnered with a woman I met through the SubTo community named Nikki Hyjic. Nikki's a brilliant designer out of the Dallas area, and we just got to talking one day. It was very organic, but this is what the power of the community is, right? She was like, well, what? I'm like, I kind of knew what Nikki did, and I knew she was involved in the midterm rental and short-term rental space, which is what I'm looking to invest in. And so I had reached out to her and said, hey, I need your help getting involved in midterm rentals, buying midterm rentals, where to buy them. I want to be kind of an intelligent investor about this and not just buy something that won't work. And she's like, yeah, I can help you with that. And then once you buy it, I'll manage it and all the good stuff. And I said, okay, well, what else are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm not doing it yet, but I really want to fix, flip, and build houses. And I was like, well, why aren't you doing that? Actually, my wife had this conversation with her. My wife was like, why aren't you doing that? And she said, oh, I just don't want to go raise money and have money conversations and find financing and underwrite deals. I really just want to do the fun build and design work. And I said, well, I underwrite deals all day long, and I have a network of private money lenders that I've been working on for about the past 2 or 3 years. So maybe we should team up. And so we decided to partner up. And I mean, within like 2 weeks of having that conversation, we got a piece of land under contract in the Dallas area. We're supposed to close at the end of this month, and we're looking to build a new luxury home in the Dallas market for our first project together. So go big or go home.
So that's the one posted on your Facebook page?
It is, yeah.
And she designed that house?
Yeah, she designed that.
That's really nice. Yeah, I like that. So you keep talking about community. Now, what he's talking about is a SubTo community, and I've already mentioned it once, but we're both part of a SubTo that's got on my hat too. So tell us, how did you come across SubTo?
So it's kind of a crazy small story, but when I got an agreed upon offer to sell my business, and I was having a conversation with my wife one day, and she was like, "Hey, have you thought about what you want to do after you sell the business?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm going to be a real estate investor." And I don't think at that time either one of us really knew what that meant. I mean, I thought real estate investing was you flip a few houses a year, and then you take the money you make out of flipping and you go buy some long-term rentals, not really studying the market, not really knowing the market. And, so we got to talking about it, and she's like, well, you can't just go buy like 15 houses. I mean, we have that kind of money, you're going to run out of money very soon. And it's like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, I should figure this out, how we're going to, buy all these houses that I want to buy. And so I think I literally Googled one day how to buy houses with no cash. And, Pace, being a brilliant marketer that he is, one of his YouTube videos popped up on the Google search, and I started watching his content and watching this guy talk about how he buys houses without using the bank, without using his own money. And I said, oh, this I think is for me. I didn't jump in right away. I started following him on Instagram and watching his social media, and I was watching everything that he was talking about. Then all of a sudden, the Pace ad started popping up on my news feed, and I actually, that was about January of 23, and in February he was doing the elephant challenge, and so I said, okay, I'm going to sign up to do this elephant challenge. And that was this thing that he used to do to get people that weren't in the community involved with the community and pair them up with community members to maybe go find a deal. And I remember being on that elephant challenge call, and he had Daniel Quijano on as a guest speaker, and Daniel made a comment like, if you're not in SubTo, I feel sorry for your life choices, because this is what you get in SubTo. And I was like, yeah, everything he's talking about, that's what I want. I want to slingshot my real estate career. I don't want to wait, the way I looked at it was, could I go and achieve the things I wanted to in real estate on my own? Yeah, I could. But how much longer would it take me to get to where I am now, or where I wanted to go, without the community, without that education and that support from other people? And so I remember my wife was on a business trip to Vegas, and I picked her up at the airport, and she's like, hey, what have you been doing? I was like, oh, I went through this whole challenge with this group, and I want to spend some money to get into this community. And she was like, okay, yeah, do what you need to do. Go for it. She was 100% supportive. And so I think I signed up like 2 days later, after she and I had that conversation about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that was 2023, right? You said
March of 23.
March of 2023. You did you saw that in January. So how has it been? How have you describe the community for people, and how do you like it so far?
The community has been amazing. Like I said, I think I'm years ahead in my career of where I wouldn't have been without the community. There was so many things I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until you know it, right?
Right.
So for me, it was just, like I said, I was trying to do fix and flips, and trying to maybe do 2 or 3 a year, and then just go buy some long-term rentals. I never would have understood the midterm rental market. I didn't really know that was a thing. That's kind of what that's what I'm investing in now. In addition to doing fix and flips, but just the people that I've met that have supported me along the way, the partnerships, the friends that I've made through the community, the people that I have in my phone now that I can just pick up the phone and call. So if I'm looking at a deal in, Denver, Colorado, I don't have MLS access in Colorado. I don't really have a good way to underwrite that deal, but I guarantee that if I find a deal I'm interested in buying in Denver, Colorado, there's somebody in the community that's going to help me out. We can go into the community, into the Facebook group, we can post. So really just the support. And I hear Pace say this all the time, but he'll say, the value you get out of SubTo is not the education, it's the community, because the community of people willing to help you do the next step, get to the next point in your career. And also, one thing that I've taken away from the community for myself is I've become much more of, I feel like, a giver. I never thought, before I got into the community, my mindset was always like, how can I get to the next step in my career? How can I further along my journey? How can I grow? Now, I think one thing that the community has really taught me is to be a go-giver. And how can I help other people? Now that I've got this experience, how can I use my experience to help other people get to where they want to go in their journey?
Absolutely. And that's one thing I've learned a lot since joining, mindset and being a go giver. Give more than you take. It's just stuff you think about, or it's said, but you never really paid attention to. Mindset was always something I thought was BS, fluffy BS. It's just, I don't need to do all that. Don't need to worry about. But starting this journey, it's really blown my mind, the mindset stuff and coaching, and it's like that stuff really works and it's really necessary.
Oh,
So it's blown me.
yeah, no, I was right there with you, Todd. I and this is what's crazy. My wife has been an executive coach and a mindset coach for several years, and I still did not believe in it forever. And I remember when I was struggling, I had some years in my business that I struggled, and she was like, "Hey, you've got to get a coach. You've got to work on your mindset. You've got to do." And I was like, get out of here. I thought people like Tony Robbins were con artists. I was like, you know what? They're just trying to sell you something to get your money. They prey on the weak. Like, that was my thought. And it wasn't until I actually started going through mindset training and I went out and got a mentor, that I really started seeing the growth in my own business and in my own life, that I realized how much goes into it. And now when I coach and when I talk to other business owners, I tell them, I'm like, mindset is 90% of the battle, 10% is the work. You've got to work on the mind and work on your belief that you can and do these hard things before it will ever work. Because if you don't believe it, if you don't understand the mindset that goes into how to grow and how to make this work, it's never going to happen. End of story.
Right. And I mean, I'm learning that from experience. Self-sabotage. I never thought I did that. But it's little subliminal things I see do. Hold on a second. I'm only calling people today that I know don't answer the phone.
Yeah.
How am I going to get a deal doing that when I know they're not going to answer the phone? But I catch myself doing that, and it's like, well, hold on a second. I got to sit down and talk to myself again and say, hey, this isn't working because I'm not really putting, it's being honest with yourself. And it's amazing growth opportunity when you do that. So I wanted to ask you, you kept talking about being a go-giver. Are you helping newbies in the program find their first deals?
Yeah. So one of the things that my partners, actually, Nikki's really good at is networking and working with other people. So she actually is a lot better at it than I am. I need to be better about it, but she will bring a lot of people into our sphere. When I first got into the program, I kind of went into wholesaling just because I saw everybody doing that. I decided wholesaling's really not for me, but I did get a lot of experience going through that, through that training for wholesaling and working with some other wholesalers. But one of the things I love to do is talk business, work with other people, work with other business owners. So I'm having a lot of conversations right now around with people that are going through, business buying programs to get their first business, that are looking to acquire a small business, or maybe they acquired a small business and they're like, okay, I bought this business. I want to take it from where I bought it to 2X. Now what? And they're maybe feeling a little lost. So that's really where, when it comes down to being a go-giver, that's why I focus a lot of my time, is is working one-on-one with these aspiring entrepreneurs.
That's badass. That's really good. So tell me, with Watershed, do you have a team in place?
Watershed practically is just me, my wife, and my business partner at the moment. So
Okay.
we're not really building a team or anything, but we're always here to help people.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about you got in real estate actually before SubTo. So you in business. So how did that help you once you got in SubTo? Do you think it really helped get you going, push you in the right direction?
I do. I think just coming from being an entrepreneur for so long, I have an ability to kind of analyze any business, right? I don't look at anything as one step. So, for example, when I was wholesaling and when I was trying to get wholesaling going, I always looked at it like, yeah, I'm happy to do what needs to be done to get the business started in the beginning, make the calls, try to get deals, talk to the owners. But this is going to be something I do for a very short period of time because I'm always looking at the next step, putting standard operating procedures in place, putting team members in place to take the business to another level. Even with this fix and flip business that Nikki and I have started now, we talk about it, and like we're going to break ground on this new construction project, and that's about a 7-month project. So we're looking to put smaller fix and flip jobs in the gaps there. We can manage between the two of us 4 to 5 property projects at one time. So for us, we're like, okay, if we can manage 4 at a time, let's get 4 going, and then let's start maybe bring on a team member. Let's put some standard operating procedures in place to where we can go from 4 to 8 at a time. And then when we get to 8, let's maybe bring on another team member. Let's do, so this is just how my brain works. So I think from my background as an entrepreneur, like you mentioned, before I got into SubTo, just always looking for what's the goal, what's the benchmark, and what's the next step to get to the next benchmark, the next goal. I think is just always how I'm just wired that way. It's the way I'm always thinking.
All right. So you're not only in SubTo, he joined the community, and now in the community we have other parts of the community like Gator and Zero Down. I know you're in Zero Down. Are you in any others?
Mm-hmm. So my wife is actually in Gator. I'm not a part of Gator. But that's how we had gotten her started originally, was when she decided to come into the real estate business and join me in working with this. And she was originally going to be just our capital raiser for our team for Watershed. And of course, once she got involved, she's also very entrepreneurial. And so she was on to that, and then bigger and better and the next thing. And so we originally signed her up and got her into Gator. And then she got into SubTo as well with me. And so we are involved in those. And then I'm also involved in another community that's all about raising private money. And so we network within the two communities. But
all right, so tell us about your experience with networking, and how important is it, and how important has it been in your business?
Yeah, it's funny, but it's true. But the old cliche that you hear over and over, your network is your net worth.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% true, and it's one of those things that, like I said, I probably need to be a little bit better about putting myself out there a little bit more. I tend to be an introvert, but it's absolutely true that and I keep going back to my example of partnering up with Nikki. I met Nikki about a year ago. We just started working together on our fix and flip and construction business. She's a brilliant networker. And so I've had more networking calls in the last week, 2 weeks, than I've ever probably done in a 2-week span before, because she'll just put them on my calendar. Hey, we're talking to so-and-so today. They're interested in learning fix and flips and how they can work with us. Hey, this is so-and-so, they're a potential lender. So, I mean, I honestly, we wouldn't be able to be where we're at if it wasn't for the people we've aligned ourselves with and the people that we work with on a day-to-day basis. You can learn, you can read, you can be everything in this business, but if you don't work with other people, it's going to be so much harder. And I've heard Pace say this over and over. He makes a comment like, oh man, I can't remember now, and I lost my train of thought. But it's something around, you know, networking. Sorry, Todd, I lost my train of thought.
You're right.
There.
You're good. I do it all the time.
Okay.
But so tell me about what your avatar. You got in about the same time I did, a little bit earlier, and he did all these things about coming up with your avatar. Where's your strengths? So did you figure out your avatar in SubTo?
Yeah, you know, I think it's evolved. I think when I originally got in, you know, I was DTA, I was direct agent, networking. That's what I was doing. That's what I was trying. I was pretty good at it, honestly. Did a few SubTo deals. I actually bought a SubTo deal in September of last year. I think now, though, more than anything, I've shifted to more connector.
Okay.
I love making connections. I love talking to people. I'm not monetizing it. You know, I'm not really I'm not like some of the connector rock stars in the community. They're, you know, are raising private money and then they're connecting, you know, and making a fee. Like, I haven't gotten that far into it, but I really do enjoy, as I get more and more comfortable with the networking side of the business, when I meet somebody, saying, hey, I'd love to figure out how we can work together. And if we're not a fit, let's figure out who else I know. And let me just introduce you to and let y'all have a conversation. If it works out, great. Because who knows what's going to come out of that partnership, that relationship. It may be something that comes back to me. You never know.
That's right. You never know. I mean, it's just again, it goes back to your network and what ends up happening. It's amazing seeing seeing some of the things that happen in the stories that people have with their networking, how they came across deals and it just plopped in their lap. I love hearing that kind of stuff. So tell me about this development with Nikki. Y'all are doing this development now. What's the goal of it? Are you going to be just developing single family homes? Or are you going to what's the goal with it?
Yeah, so like I said, we have the capacity to run about 4 projects at a time. We have a really great team that we've aligned with, a general contractor out of the Dallas area that we've worked with in the past. So we're about to break ground on a luxury new build in the Midway Hollow neighborhood of Dallas. It's a 4,800 square foot luxury home where we actually have an existing a property on the land right now. We're going to be tearing that property down and building this new home. So once we break ground on that, we're obviously going to be looking for other deals. We've got the idea is to get maybe another construction project going, new construction, and then have maybe 2 or 3 fix and flips going while our construction projects are running, so we can really hit that 4 to 5 property benchmark. We would like to be closing a property, you know, every 2 to 3 months. So fix and flips make it really easy for that, since our new construction projects tend to take about 7 to 8 months. But so far it's been a really organic partnership. I've tried. This is the wonderful thing about the community too, is we're talking about partnerships for a minute. I was brought up, always told, like, don't get a partner in business because it'll end up badly. You'll end up fighting, you know. And then, so coming up in a small business as an entrepreneur, I never had a partner. I never wanted to take on a partner. And then I get into real estate and everybody's like, find a partner, get somebody that can support you. And I was like, wait, this goes against, it goes back to mindset. This goes against everything I've ever been told and taught. Like, I don't need a partner. But and I had tried some other partnerships that just didn't work out, whether it was a communication or our personalities just didn't fit. You initially start talking to a partner, and your partner is, I want to do this, this, and this in the business, and you're like, great, I want to do this, this, and this in the business. And then next thing you know, they're calling you and they're doing action steps that are supposed to be yours, and you're like, wait a minute, partner, like maybe you should stay in your lane a little bit, like. And so finding somebody that you work with well, you communicate well, and each have their defined roles has been instrumental. And that's what I get with her. Like from day one, when we talked on the phone for our first time, like, hey, let's just connect and see if we can support each other, turned into let's work together. And it's been phenomenal. It's been a really great relationship so far to go and tackle these jobs with and tackle these businesses. We would not be, I don't think either one of us would be undertaking this project in Dallas if it wasn't for the other one. We both supported each other. What's funny about that deal is that deal came into through our pipeline at like 6 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. And she and I were going back and forth on the phone, and then back and forth with the wholesaler on the property till about 10:30, 11 o'clock that night. And then we finally got it locked up at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. And so really just having a partner that is on the same train tracks as you, it's going the same direction, that wants the same things. It's been a really incredible experience so far.
Okay, so where are y'all? You have that project in Dallas. Is that your main market? Mm-hmm. You're focusing in Dallas?
Yeah. So what's really great about our team is we actually have, with the GC team that we've aligned ourselves with, we've done some business with in the past. They have the capacity and the team members to do jobs in basically every major city in Texas, because we're both from Dallas. Our GC lives in Dallas. Dallas-Fort Worth is really our prime market, but we are also looking for deals in San Antonio, Houston, and Austin, in addition to parts of Florida, like really like the 4 major cities in Florida. So the other side of our business is, and I think I mentioned it earlier, that we do these we acquire midterm rentals and short-term rental properties. So Texas and Florida really being the main hubs for those properties as well.
Okay. So where are you looking to take this part? Like, where are you looking to take the development? Are you going to grow that one? And what are the goals within real estate? Are you just going to, I don't know. I guess what I'm getting is, what are you going to focus on for the next little while? Are you going to focus on development? Are you going to focus on single family, multifamily? What are you wanting to do? Or are you focusing on zero down?
Yeah. So I'm actually kind of splitting my time, because I do have such a great partner. I'm able to do this. But we're focusing on getting our construction business blowing and going. We want to hit that 4 to 5 properties under construction at a time. I would love to get to the point where we have a pipeline of properties waiting, so maybe we have 4 or 5 under construction, and then we have 2 or 3 that, are next in line. As we complete a property, we go on to the next one. So really growing and developing, I would say for the next 12 to 18 months, I'm really working on growing and developing me and Nikki's construction business. And then I'm also actively, talking to a couple of investors that are buying some businesses and guys that are making really good progress in that space, that I've had conversations with, that are interested in me possibly partnering with them as they gobble up some businesses and bringing expertise and my power team into their businesses. And so I'm also, having those conversations and looking at that. But I'm also interested, like I said, I want to be a go-giver. I'm also interested in supporting business owners through the Zero Down community, however possible. So I'm also doing some consulting business, either you can call it coaching, consulting, but it's simply just partnering with entrepreneurs to support them on their journey. I was a really tired owner, I would say, from like 2005 to 2016. We hear Pace talk about this all the time, and Cody Sanchez talks about it, how there's hundreds of thousands of small business owners that are just tired. They're tired running the small business. They're working 50, 60 hours a week. And Todd, that was really me for a long time. I didn't know how to grow. I wasn't putting the time and the effort into mindset. I was afraid to give up control of the business. And I'll tell you what the turning point for me is I was so tired around 2016. I went to a business broker and I sat down in his office in McKinney, Texas. And I said, hey, I want to sell my company. And he's like, okay, well, tell me about your business. And I started telling him what we did and what we were doing. And he goes, oh, tell me about your day. And I said, oh, my day starts at 5 a.m. and I'm, at the gym, and then I'm out the door at 6:30 and I'm in the office by 7, and I work till 7, 8 o'clock that night. And I do that Monday through Saturday. And then Sunday I'll get up and work in my home office for about 11:30, 12 o'clock in the morning. And then it all starts over on Monday morning again. He goes, yeah, I'd love to help you, but you don't have a business, you have a job. And that was the first time I'd ever heard that comparison between a job and a business. And I said, I had no idea. And I said, okay. And that conversation changed my life, because I walked out of his office that day, and I started from that moment forward. I put everything I could, every effort into taking myself out of my business. I started paying for training, I went out and I got a mentor who was in my industry, who did the exact same thing I did in my business. He was a competitor, but his business was doing about $7 million a year in sales, and mine was doing about $1 million. And he was working about 30 hours a week, and I'm working 60. And so he really took me under his wing and said, this is the first thing you need to do. And I said, okay. And I did it. And then he started telling me, this is the next thing to do. And if it wasn't for him, and for really having a conversation and going out and changing that conversation, changing my life, I would never have got to the point where I could have sold that business and exited that business.
Yeah. So, all right. So you brought up, and you just talked about something I wanted to go into, the tired owner with your business. I wanted to see, because we both agreed or had the same kind of instance. We didn't really buy the mindset thing getting into this. So you were in business and didn't buy the mindset thing. Hey, no, I don't need to work on all that. And you're struggling. You're being the tired owner that everybody talks about. So, and then, all right. So you pretty much gave my next question. You got a mentor to help you start turning things around, and you went and saw the broker, which really just made you go, wait a second, I'm doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. So that mentor, who was your first mentor? What was it? Can you remember his name?
Yeah, absolutely. So the guy that really helped me out was a man named Marty, and he owned a business in Marble Falls that did the same thing that I did. And ironically, I met Marty because he was one of the first people that actually was interested in buying my business. And I met him because his company was actually looking to merge with other businesses and kind of create this whole glass company conglomerate in the state of Texas. And I was introduced to him through a friend of mine. And, ultimately COVID ended up killing our deal in 2020. And so Marty came to me and he's like, hey, look, we don't know what's going to happen with COVID. We are not expanding at the moment, so we're backing out of the negotiations with you. But I would love to help you grow this business. I would love to help you trying to get to the next level. If I can ever do anything for you, here's my personal cell phone number. Let me know. And I just said, I'm like, hey, what do I do here? And he was the one that really got me to the next level. there were a couple other people that kind of helped me before him. My wife, like I said, has been in the education, in the knowledge industry for a long time. She was an executive coach. She was a C-level executive in the nonprofit world. And my wife actually really poured a lot into me, introduced me to a lot of people that ultimately would help me turn that business around and get to the point where I had a business, not a job. There was a woman named Jessica who my wife introduced me to, who I actually ended up hiring as a fractional CFO. I still work with Jessica to this day, and she was very instrumental in helping me also like get a control of my business. You know, I would say that the biggest thing I learned that a lot of small business owners takes them a while to figure out is you can't be an expert at everything. I was trying to be the chief financial officer for my business, the head of sales, you know, the office manager. I was trying to do everything, and
You
so
couldn't do
many
it all?
you can't do it all.
Come on, man. You couldn't do it all?
No. But so many people feel like they have to know how to.
Exactly.
I feel like they have to know how to do everything. They have to be well, it's my business, so I better know how to build, you know, write a P&L sheet. No, you don't. Like, you got into this business because you're really great at what you do. So amplify your strengths and then go find experts that complement you, you know. And I mean, it's as simple as that, really.
I still struggle with that. I still struggle with
It's
that.
so hard.
It is, because I still want to try and take on everything, and I feel, and then I get the imposter syndrome. Well, if I don't know how to do that, then maybe I shouldn't be doing this. You know, but
Yeah,
again, it's what you
I
said.
felt
You
like,
don't have to be the expert. You know, we can learn and we get others to help us. So, and I love how you brought that up.
yeah, I mean, for so long, I wouldn't say, I almost felt shame because I was like, man, I don't understand the financial side of the business. Like, I mean, I understood enough. Like, you know, we were profitable. I understood, like, you know, but I'm not an accountant, so I'm not a
Right.
bookkeeper, and so I would, you know, somebody would say something about budget, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I mean, we make money, and then, I mean, you know, we spend a certain amount to operate and pay ourselves, and we sell product at a certain amount, and there's money left over every month. So I'm obviously doing something right, but not really honing into a budget and getting control of your expenses from a business aspect. And that was one thing that I felt a lot of shame that, like, man, I should really understand that more, but I don't. And I wasn't excited to learn it because it wasn't my strength. It's just not something I wanted to be a pro at. So really getting over my ego, and that's what a lot of it is just ego, and reaching out and being able to say, I need help. I need help in this aspect of my business, and hiring a professional, and the professional going, yeah, totally get it. You're not alone. Like, oh, okay, I'm not alone. This is pretty awesome. So, and then seeing the growth, you know, I remember like around 2018, 2019, my business had really flatlined because it had gone up year over year. I was growing 23% year over year exponentially. And then around that time, I flatlined. And I remember one of my very good friends, who's a brilliant financial analyst, having him come in and kind of take a look at the business. And he's like, I think the biggest problem is you were growing for so long because you were doing so much of the work. But now the business has grown to a point to where Shane is stretched so thin, you can't take on another single thing. So now you are maintaining, but you're not growing anymore. And that's when I was like, holy cow, like that was another holy cow moment that I need to help.
Yeah. Did I lose you? Okay, you froze there for a
No,
second.
I'm here. Oh.
Okay. So I just lost my train of thought now. So
It happens.
that freeze messed me up. Okay. Oh, you mentioned something about y'all are doing some lending. Do y'all do? So, are you getting into doing lending too? You did some like PML stuff, or what? What kind of lending are you going to be doing since your wife is in Gator?
Yeah, so we were doing some lending. We've been private money partners on a few fix and flips and things like that. Right now, we've actually paused our lending because
Okay.
we are growing our businesses fast. But we're involved in networking with private money lenders, so we're actually borrowing at the moment. We've kind of switched. So we've got our fix and flip projects coming up. My wife, like I said, is a partner in a fund that is buying non-anchored shopping centers across the United States. So she's raising capital for that fund. So we're doing some things and investing in some businesses and stuff that we're raising capital for. So we've kind of paused our lending at the moment.
All right. So I want to ask you who are some of your biggest inspirations now at this time in your life, at this time in your business? Who are you watching? Who are you paying attention to?
I love the business space, so I'm paying attention. The people I kind of watch, at least on social media, like Alex Hormozy, I think he's fantastic. I love watching his content. Brandon Turner, I think, is a really great guy. Beardy Brandon, I love watching his content. These are just a few of people. I keep up with kind of what Cody Sanchez is doing in the business buying space. I think she's pretty intelligent. This is just the people on the national stage that I'm kind of, I like to watch and kind of keep an eye on. Pace being one of them. I think Pace drops gems every time he's on a microphone. There's so many. You can that is the great thing about this space is there's not a shortage of gurus. I'm actually so my wife and I are actually members in Amy Majori's raising private money community as well, and
Okay.
I think Amy's really brilliant in what she's built and what she's doing and where she's going in that community. I love just keeping up with Amy and watching what she's working on because she's always got new and exciting stuff coming out.
Badass. So when you were getting in SubTo, being in Austin there, or you were jumping around a lot, but did you go to any, tell me about any meetups? Did you go to any meetups, any conferences, do any big networking events in SubTo?
Yeah, so my wife actually just got back from the SubTo Summit. I unfortunately couldn't go. I had a pre-planned vacation. I had a guy, one of my friends' 40th birthday golf trips that was planned for like a year and a half, so I couldn't miss it. It just happened to fall on the same weekend as Squat Up. But my wife was there. That is the beauty of being partnered with your spouse, is we can kind of divide and conquer if we need to. So we've been hitting a lot of the little local meetups, trying to get out and meet as many people as possible while we're on this nomad journey. We've been to a few here in the Austin area. We were pretty involved in the local meetups in Dallas community before we left there. Still have a lot of friends there that we talk to weekly. But yeah, need to get out and do more of it, honestly.
Yeah, they're great. I love the meetups here. We have a power hour here, so I try to go to that. It's actually slacked off a little bit and been kind of bumming because that was like my re-energizing event. That's where I'd go to get re-energized and get energy to do this stuff and get the mindset back. Because getting around the right people.
I was real involved in our power hour back in Dallas. I went every week. My friend Nicolo Fazio in the SubTo community, he runs the DFW Power Hour, and he's actually become one of my very good friends. We talk regularly. He's my go-to guy for dispo when if I have a deal I need to wholesale or something. So he helps me out a lot when it comes to comping and figuring out if a deal's a deal or not a deal. And I've closed a few deals with him, and we have a really good time just networking and visiting with one another. But if you're in the DFW area and you get a chance to go to Power Hour, definitely go, because Nico's just one of the great go-givers from the SubTo community.
Badass. So, hey, with being in Zero Down and you owning a business, how would you rate your business underwriting skills?
I would say I'm probably a 7 out of 10.
Yep.
I look at a lot of deals. I've gotten pretty decent at reading through the BS and kind of. I was telling somebody this earlier this week that we were talking about a potential partnership on some businesses. And when I look at a business's financial, I have very specific ways that I want to get those financials, because I'm looking for trends. I might ask them for the last 3 to 5 years of really the last 3 years of financials, but then I want to see those broken down by quarter, and then I also want to see them broken down by month, because I'm always looking for like what's the high months, what's the low months. It definitely tells me if the business is seasonal, it's not seasonal. I want to see the growth, but more than just growth, you want to see, does growth compare to expenses, right? Like if you're looking at a business that's grown 40% for the last 3 years, but expenses have only grown about 10 or 15%, that right there should tell you that the owner operator is extremely involved in the day-to-day operations of the business. So really just kind of reading between the lines. When I'm analyzing a business, I'll do what I call like red flag, green flag. So kind of like just planting a flag in this pinpoint. So I'll make my notes. I'll be like, well, that's a green flag. The business is growing. Well, it's a red flag because the expenses don't match the growth. So, the cost of growth. So that right there could be a red flag. Well, is this business seasonal? That might be a red flag or a green flag, however you say it. Is the business stuck in the potential market it's in? That's, if it's a landscape company in North Carolina, chances are they have their clientele in place. You can't just pick that business up and move it to Dallas or move it to wherever, so analyzing those things. But I would say I'm still not a pro at it. That's why I work with people like CFOs and my friends who are financial analysts. I'll always bring them in and say, here's what I think. Now I just want a second set of eyes on this business. Tell me, am I on track here, or am I way off?
Now, are there any businesses that you gravitate towards, any specific types, and any ones that you tend to stay away from? That's like, I'm not going to mess with those types of businesses.
Yeah, so my background is in subcontracting. My company that I owned was a glass company. We did residential and commercial glass construction in the Dallas community. So I'm very familiar with how subcontracting businesses work. So I really love service-based subcontracting world. HVACs, electricians, plumbing companies, glass companies, anything like that. We have a mobile fleet or a mobile crew. They're high operating cost businesses, but they can also be real high profit businesses if they're managed correctly. Personally, I also love manufacturing companies. If I can find a manufacturing company that's in that doing that $2 to $5 million gross range, but they have the potential to maybe expand outside of the United States or expand further into the United States if they're only manufacturing in a few geographical areas, and you can take that business from 2 to 5 million to 15 to 20 million. Those are the companies I really like to get involved with. I'm not so excited about working on the boring businesses that a lot of investors tend to gravitate to, like RYs and laundromats. To me, there's just not enough upside. I want to, when I analyze a business, I want to find a business that will, I see it doing X, and then we can take it to like, there's room for us to take it to like 3X and 4X.
All right. Do you normally come up with a plan when you find one you like? Are you going to come up with a plan like, okay, this is what I'm going to buy the business and do this and keep it for so long and then sell it?
Yeah, when we're looking at businesses, we always are saying to ourselves, why would this be beneficial to us to buy this business? Why would it be interesting? That's always question one. Well, if it's a $2 million manufacturing company, but they're only servicing clients in the Southwest, well, maybe we can come in, expand the operation, and then all of a sudden cover the entire United States. And all of a sudden it's doing 10, like I said, 10, 15, $20 million a year. We're constantly saying, where's the juice here? Like where are we going to get the return? Where can we do this? I'm also looking at it like, is this something that is going to excite us to be involved in for the next 5 years, 10 years? Because it's not going to be a quick turnaround. If I just want to make quick money, I'll go flip a house. I can flip a house in 30 to 90 days and make, anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000, $100,000 maybe, So these businesses really are for the long haul. You're going to be involved in them. I actually ended up getting involved in this because I kept hearing people say, well, I'm going to buy a business, but it's for passive income. And I kept telling people, it's possible. It's absolutely possible to put a team in place and be a passive investor in a business, but no business is 100% passive. Like real estate can absolutely be a passive business. I can buy rentals. I can turn them over to a property manager, and I really only have to talk to that property manager maybe once or twice a month, and that's a passive business. But with a company, and I always think of companies like living, breathing organisms. Like those are things that are moving. They're constantly working. You have people whose lifestyles, they depend on that business to pay the rent, right? To feed their families. They show up to work there every day. So you better take that responsibility seriously. And if people are depending on you to pay their bills, to feed their kids, then do everything you can to pour into them, to make their workplace better, to make their workplace stronger. I take that responsibility seriously.
That's awesome. So what kind of advice would you give to a newbie investor or newbie entrepreneur starting a business or trying to buy a business?
If you're brand new getting into business, I would just say, do your due diligence and don't be afraid to ask for help. Like I said, you don't have to be an expert. If you're buying your first business, don't think that you need to be able to analyze those financials to a T and underwrite that business like an expert. It's okay to reach out to hire an underwriter, to hire a fractional CFO and say, hey, let's break down this business together. Let's take a look at it. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody like me. I'm happy to come in and underwrite companies for people and say, I think this is a deal and this is why. I think this is a deal, and not why. And I'll give you my green flag and red flag interpretation of a company, and just say, but don't be afraid to ask for help. It's, we don't have to be an expert at everything. So
right. So how can people get a hold of you? How can they find you? Please let us know. And then I'm going to ask you too, when we're off of here, can you send me your links? Send me all your links so I can put them in the description, but please tell them how they can find you, get a hold of you, social media, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Quickest, easiest way to get a hold of me is my Instagram. I'm very diligent about checking my Instagram DMs. It's the Shane Langford on Instagram, ShaneLangford. On Facebook, Shane Langford. And then if you're in the SubTo community, you can find me in there, Shane Langford as well. Yeah.
And your company, does your company have a website?
It does. So my company is Watershed Development, and our website is actually watershedcompanies.com.
All right. So would you recommend SubTo to other people, especially newbies?
Absolutely. Yeah. Get in the community.
Man, and we're winding it down. So I got one more question for you. This is one I like to ask a lot of people. It's all about mindset, and and mindset is so important. So I was like, what is more important, and where would you get the most gain, with more positive thinking or with less negative thinking?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would say more positive thinking, just putting positivity into the universe. I know that sounds very like woo woo, but
Not at
you know,
all.
but yeah, get that negativity out there, put the positivity into the universe. The more positive thinking, the more positive affirmations that you go through, the more the universe is gonna hear it. You're gonna believe it, and it will be so.
Badass. Awesome. And I really appreciate your time today. We're hitting right at an hour now. And so we're gonna wind it down. And he gave us all anybody else you want to plug on here, give a shout out to?
Um, Honestly, just if you get a chance, reach out to my partner Nikki Hajek. It's Hajek. She's in the SubTo community. She's on Facebook, and we would love to network with anybody that's doing deals and
So
are
I'll have to get
interested
her
in
on
buying
here.
bit. Yeah, you'll have to have her on.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm gonna look her up. I'm gonna try and get her scheduled. So tell her I'm coming for her.
I will do. Yeah.
All right. So what you got the rest of the day? Once we get off of here, I'm gonna have to have you stay on for a little bit while it records or downloads
Yeah.
the recordings, and then we'll go from there. But what you got for the rest of the day, and then we're gonna head out of here.
Actually, I got a call at 3 o'clock this afternoon trying to lock down a private money lender for a project we're working on, another project. And but before that, probably going to enjoy the Saturday afternoon a little bit, take a little time off, and go have lunch with my wife.
Cool. Well, y'all have an awesome day. And again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Look him up. Look up Shane Langford on his contacts. If people look for help, do you do deals in Houston? You said you're doing deals in Houston, right? So if you do, give me a shout. I can help you out in any way I can. I'll be willing to do so.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate that.
And with that, we're going to go ahead and end. Thank you for being on For Action Takers Only. We ask that if you like what you're seeing, you like it, subscribe, and there's no cost. It's free on Spotify and YouTube. So thank you for watching.